I'm live. Hello, everyone, and I'm so glad to see you again here on Saturday. So again, hats off to everyone who is taking part in the challenge, and the group is growing because you're inviting your friends and people you know, and people asking to join the challenge. So I'm so pleased with that. Now I'm checking whether I am on Facebook. I am. It's just fantastic, and I can be sure that everything is fine. So I hope that you had a lovely Saturday. For me, Saturdays are always very busy, but I always try to find time for myself and eating well, moving. Not perfect. We let go of perfection. So how was yesterday? Did you had a chance to watch it again and see for yourself? Ask yourself a few questions around that. I think emotions when it comes to sugar and generally food, but sugar can be such a big subject for everyone. It's an important milestone, an important part, especially when we treat sugar as something as a reward. And when we have children, quite often that's how it is. If you are good, you're going to get a chocolate. If you are do this, you're going to get a sweetie. If you get this, you're going to have a dessert. Or if you don't, or sometimes, yeah, it's always a reward. If you don't eat it, you're not going to get dessert. If you eat it, if you eat your vegetables, you're going to get a dessert. And we're getting into this vicious cycle of treating the food and especially sugary things as a reward. So it just so much becomes. I never had it as a child. It just has become so available everywhere. And I'm not judging, because sometimes we just have to have all these tools. And I remember with my daughter, she loves sweet food, right? Give her chocolate, she's gonna give it all. But if it's not there, she won't eat it. If it's there, no, she won't stop. But I never treated. She was always a good eater, so that wasn't my problem. But I never treated sugar as something as a reward. Maybe a few times or something like that. Although I wanted so much, believe me. Sometimes I really wanted, because I wanted her to try different foods. At some point, she ate eggs, and I don't know, I think a few months she hates egg, right? It's like, come on, and all of that. So yeah, I totally get this. We have been brought up in a certain way, with understanding that, I have a treat because I've worked hard. And if we can transform that, that's such a big milestone. And I used to do a lot of that. I was not only with sugar, but also with alcohol. Like, you come back after a stress day at work, and you say, oh, I had such a stressed work, so I'm going to have alcohol. But my body doesn't tolerate that anymore, and no, I want to do it. Basically, I'm very much so working on that in a very holistic way, to ensure that I don't do that, that when I go and for example drink or have a dessert, it's all on purpose. And I'm getting there. But of course, we let go of perfection. So welcome to the challenge day 2, and I'm so glad to be here. Saturday night, if you are live, you're going to get a reward. So anyone who's going to be live or was live yesterday, I'll check it. And if you're live today and tomorrow, which is going to be in the morning, 9:30, then, or at least leave some comments. I'm going to draw some rewards, right? Some prizes. Who doesn't like prizes, right? So let's do that. I would love you to be involved and engage. I would love to give you a prize for dedication, because it's all about what you put in. This is how much you're going to take from it. Okay, so I'm adding to the stream the presentation. And today is 26th of November. We're doing this at 7 p.m. UK time. So 27 November, hidden sugars in common products and healthy swaps. It's going to be quite a heavy, I would say, module, because it does cover different things, and it's very much so. Yesterday we said, intention. It was all about the emotions. Here is a bit, just knowledge, but also I will give you how you can apply it to yourself. Okay, so blood sugar roller coaster. I wanted to maybe explain this a little bit better. And let me just do that because I wanted to actually record this. Sorry, apologies, because I definitely need to record this, and it is, don't know how now. Okay, I'll have to then look at this and how it is recording. So apologies for that, for a little break. But I definitely need to have this recorded. Okay, right. So blood sugar roller coaster. So normal sugars are, so let's talk about what are the normal sugars, and everyone is affected. I want to assume that we live in such times where sugar and food is available, especially the highly processed one, everywhere, that sooner or later all of us going to suffer with this. Some of us will know, some of us will not know, but we all will be affected, because it's such a unbalanced sugar levels are such a common thing now. So normal sugar levels are 4 to 5.4, or 72 to 99, and up to 7.8, so 142 hours after meal. So this is normal, and normally, well, you're not going to test it. And I think everyone should be screened. Everyone should be screened. Pre-diabetic is 5.6 to 6.9, so 100 to 125. Pre-diabetes doesn't usually have any symptoms as such. So what happens is that you may have some lower energy levels. You may feel a little bit not yourself, but you won't link it to higher or elevated sugar levels, because there isn't a way to tell. And diabetic over 6.9, over 126 milligram, and that's diabetic. And quite often you won't have symptoms either, unless it goes up and up and up. That's therefore the only way to find out what are your levels is actually to take your blood. So HbA1c, this is like a blood marker, and it indicates the sugar levels over 3 months period. So if they are between 42 to 47, sometimes 48, it is, I think, on NHS, this means you are at risk of developing type 2. So I had a lot of patients who come to me like 48, 48, 48, because that we've been told that they're pre-diabetic. Sugar roller coasters or elevated sugar levels in the blood are caused by insulin resistance. So what we're doing with the meal plan, and it's not only meal plan, but I think that it's always good to start first of all your emotions and stress, then having good nutrition, and then adding the movement. If you have 3 components, you are on your way to increase your sugar or insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance is basically, it's poor diet in most cases, but also there may be hormonal imbalances and medications you take. So sugar levels tend to be higher in the morning. So when we wake up, a lot of people suffer from this morning elevated sugar, and you don't know, because if you don't measure, you don't know. So therefore, it's so important to start the day well. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow a little bit more. But if we start with a breakfast which look like dessert, it could be sweet smoothie, it could be porridge with honey and dried fruits, then you already have a little bit higher level, and on top of that you have this, so your body will not cope. So we want to increase insulin sensitivity, and I will tell you how you can do it with food. Uncontrolled blood sugar leads to heart conditions. This is the biggest problem of diabetes. It is definitely, it is the first risk in developing heart conditions, so cardiovascular disease, heart disease. And this is the one of the main killers for people in old age and even younger, right? So really important. Optimum carb intake. So most people with a risk of developing diabetes are recommended a low carb diet. And I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow. But for many, it's unsustainable. So a lot of people basically say, well, I can't eat that little carb they ask me to do. People get results, don't get me wrong, right? Low carb, which is 50 gram and below. But for a lot of people, it's unsustainable. And I had a lady say like, oh yes, I have good blood sugar levels, but I'm so fed up. I have no energy and I'm hungry all the time. So we need to change something so that we don't do and go other way, like throw everything what we've achieved, because now we want all of these carbs. And carb consists of sugar, fiber, and starch, and are much needed sources of energy. So here you have a little bit of example. So simple carbs, that what should be definitely avoided, and complex carbs, we should have plenty of those. And I don't limit this, although I will explain a certain philosophy behind eating or not eating certain fruit or vegetables. Then you have grains, which quite often they're avoided in low carb diets because there are lots of carbs. Again, quality matters and quantity. And then we should avoid this processed carbs. Healthy fats. One of the things we can, and I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, is ensuring that we increase our insulin sensitivity is having healthy fats. But because we have so much saturated fat in our diet, mainly coming from cheese and from meat, and some processed, highly processed oil and animal fat, then our insulin has hard times to work properly. Therefore, people on, for example, plant-based diet, I am predominantly plant-based diet, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is what you want to do. So I have massive benefits, and a lot of people want to do plant-based diets. And when I work with people, people are very interested in that, but they don't want to commit 100% of time. And if you don't want to, you don't have to, and still have a lot of benefits. So healthy fats is really important. So avocado, nuts, seeds, chia seeds are so good, and flax seeds, and of course fish, especially the oily fish. All of that is good to have in moderate amounts and remove all the other fat, and unfortunately cheese among them. So names for sugar. So whenever I present that, what happens is that people are very surprised that there's so many names for sugar. So when checking food labels, this could be present. Not always, because it's all sort of covered in sugar. So I always ask people to go and look at the label and see what it is. Now the labels are better and better. They will tell you the sugar content. And I will tell you tomorrow how you choose well for yourself. But this is all sugar. Honey, sugar, maple syrup, sugar, like whatever you're going to call it. Fruit juice is here as well, because it doesn't have any fiber. So it is sugar, and we shouldn't have too much of it, and always maybe a little bit diluted. So what happens is, like, this is going to elevate your sugar massively. Now, I don't think that people eat just sugar on its own, but so many products actually contain some of those for sure. Corn syrup, especially in America, corn syrups everywhere. I remember when I went to America and I was checking the labels, I said like, oh my gosh, everything was too salty and too sweet in America for me. And the portion sizes were enormous. And so like, this is just terrible for me, right? And then when I was checking all the labels, the corn syrup was there because it's a good preservative, it's cheap, and it basically makes food taste better. So when checking food labels, look for, and again, we, in an ideal world, we go and we cook ourselves, right? We prepare all the food from scratch, but we don't have time. And there are some good products out there. I'm going to show a few examples tomorrow. So I always want you to check the serving suggestion and make sure that you know how much and I've checked. I went to Sainsbury today and I've checked a few products and I was actually surprised by some of them. But some of them are quite good. So if you think like, oh, I can't really find any pizza or garlic bread or whatever, which is lower, you could be surprised. I don't know why. So it's always good to compare the portion sizes they are counting this for. But sugar per serving, so we aim for 10 gram or less per 100 gram of product, and 5 gram is considered low. So usually the product ingredients are listed by quantity, so from highest to lowest amount. This means that the first ingredient is what the manufacturer used the most. So the good rule of thumb is really to scan the first three ingredients and make up the largest part of what you are eating. Now we have this traffic light system, so it's good to so if we see some green and yellow, this is generally good. What you need to check is the portion sizes and look at the back what actually it contains, because you know we don't want those things in it. We want to eat as naturally as possible. Also fat. There was this campaign that low fat is the best, but actually I would say good fat is the best. And low fat was removed, but a lot of sugar was put in because fat gives the flavor, right? So again, we are looking for low saturated fat, so not more than 5 gram per 100 gram. And I could find a few products predominantly plant-based. Surprise. So saturated fat is important. So when you eat carbs and you eat fat, you look for those two. And check health shops such as well for some sugar-free items, but always check the labels. Now, one thing about the sugar-free items and sweeteners I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but my intention for this challenge is for you to swap some of the things you have into those which are better for you. So they are better quality carbs rather than removing and understanding, okay, even if you swap 2 or 3 products, that should make a difference. We are not, however, my intention for you is not to run and swap chocolate you eat with sugar-free chocolate. That is not the case. The case is just to not have it in the first place and understanding why you are having it, right? So if I come back home and I want a bar of chocolate in the evening, then the question is, do I want it as a reward? Do I truly need it? Can I just have a little bit or none at all for today and maybe have some tomorrow? I like a delay thing. I'm not going to have anything today. I'm going to have a little bit tomorrow. And then people are like, oh, but the treat. Change the philosophy, change the mindset and thoughts around what is the treat and what is not, right? Especially if you struggle with overeating. I'm happily have a little bit of chocolate and that's it. For some people, they can't. They either have loads or none at all. So you have to understand who you are on this and thinking, well, what do I want to do for myself, right? What is my lifestyle and how I want to make it work? I know that maybe when you're watching this on Facebook, I'm going to send you the link. So it's going to be recorded, but then you can play it in a larger screen because it can be quite small. So the next one is, what about the fruit? Now, fruit is an interesting thing because a lot of low carb diets will exclude a lot of fruit. But obviously, what I want to say that fruit is good, but obviously there are foods which are better than the others based on the glycemic index. So in order to avoid sugar roller coaster, you have this glycemic index, which basically is a number from 0 to 100, which indicates the rise of the blood glucose levels 2 hours after consumption. Because we want our glucose levels to just rise slightly and then come back. We don't want this high peak so that our body releases, our pancreas releases a lot of insulin, and then we have a sugar crash. So we want just a small peak, if at all, after eating the food. So let's say about the low glycemic fruit. I have my herbal tea. So we have cherries, apples. Apples sometimes have such a bad press. One apple is 20 grams of carbs, but there is a lot of fiber, especially if you eat it with skin. A lot of vitamins. I think it's such a good fruit and so handy. Try to have like a medium apple, a small apple, rather than one big one, and have it with maybe a nut butter as well. Avocado is actually a fruit. Fresh apricots, pears, fresh plums, kiwis, strawberries, and all the other berries. Frozen is good. Now, people always say about bananas, like, oh, banana. Sometimes I see in those indexes the banana is in low. I think it is around, 30 or 40. So it's not the highest. And I believe with banana has a problem because it depends how ripe it is. If it is ripe, very ripe, it's going to have a very high sugar index or a glycemic index. If it is not, they're probably lower. I usually don't have a lot of bananas, especially in the morning, because for that reason, I want to keep my sugar levels leveled rather than picking. Watermelon and dried fruit as well. So when we think about the healthy swap, so if I eat most of the time banana and grapes, watermelon probably is seasonal, can I swap those fruits for more kind of apple? Now is the season for oranges and satsumas and clementines. Is such a good fruit to have. I've seen fresh apricots, and I actually got a packet, which is great, and all the berries. And as I said, I even bought cherries, which is amazing. I like buying seasonal, so there is this seasonal eating as well for me. So cherries obviously don't grow not now, but cherries, frozen cherries are good. Like if you can buy frozen cherries and add them to smoothies, if you have a smoothie, I mean, perfect. You don't have to add a lot, but if you add a few, and my favorite one is with a bit of cherry and some plant-based milk and a little bit of cocoa powder. I mean, it's so delicious, but not very sweet because I don't add anything sweet to it. I used to add a little bit, but I don't do it anymore, and I adjusted my palate to that. Now, the other thing with sweetness, the thing is that quite often what happens is our palate is used to certain level of sweetness in the product. So we want, it's the same like with salt. So I want you to get yourself or be on the journey and thinking, okay, so I'm gonna adjust my palate to less sweeter food and less salty food. And I even I don't put any salt on potatoes, which I hated a few, not long ago, but I've decided I'm not going to put a lot of salt. Salt is unfortunately another problematic thing in our food. So healthy swaps, plenty. Now, as I said, I don't want you to think about the healthy swap. Okay, so how can I replace a chocolate with less sugary chocolate, with better chocolate? I don't want you to think about chocolate at all, if possible, right? Especially if you treat it as a reward after a hard day. And it's always good to find the ways to reward yourself, which is not related to food. Can I have a nice conversation? Can I sit and watch something nice with a herbal tea? Can I don't know, go to the gym, go for a walk, reward myself with an activity that will bring you so much benefit, better benefit than actually eating. So fruit, I always say, mindful of glycemic index, but choose what you like. Dry fruit, be careful. Dates are very sweet. I showed dates yesterday, but apricots, dry apricots, 1 or 2 are good too. Roasted nuts like hazelnuts or almonds are delicious. I like almonds, roasted almonds with a little bit of miso or a little bit of soya sauce. So they are just a little bit salty, but not too much. I used to add maple syrup as well, but I don't do it anymore. And that takes the edge and gives you a little bit of different flavor. Carrots, peppers, you cut them up, cherry tomatoes. I remember when I went to Denmark, there's so much on the well-being, and I understand that people don't sometimes eat any sweets. So what they put on the afternoon buffet, there were a lot of different cakes. They were very small portion sizes. They were not sweet anyway. But apart from that, what they did, they put on cut up peppers and cherry tomatoes, and it's like brilliant, right? Because some people choose not to have cake, and that's fine. Dried tomatoes, they are not in the oil. I buy dried tomatoes in the packet. They are preserved with salt, so they're very, very salty. So I don't usually use, like, I can chew them, one or two, and that's enough because they are very salty. But normally what I do, obviously, if you want to avoid oil, they're fantastic because you soak them in water and you can use them in different dishes, and they are not oily. Good quality dark chocolate, as I said, that should be on the list somewhere for those really, really difficult times, but preferably avoided. Roasted chickpeas, celery stick with nata butter or hummus, edamame beans, so soya beans, and they are really nice. They're really, really full of protein, and you will feel full. Plain yogurt with berries. Plain yogurt, you have to see. Now, what I would also swap, and I forgot to add it in here, is the milk, cow's milk. Cow's milk has lactose. So you can imagine if you use cow's milk for porridge, for some cereals, you adding on top of already something that is already sweet, another sweetness, which is the lactose. Plus, honestly, cow's milk is just, even not for the babies, to be honest, but definitely not for adults. It doesn't have anything we could benefit from. It has a lot, it has a lactose, it has growth hormones, plenty of beautiful milks out there, which are made from plants. We don't need cow's milk as adult people. Okay, so, right. So those are a few things you can potentially have. And so what to do when the craving kicks in, right? Oh my goodness. So craving is usually related to an emotion, and we've talked about that yesterday. So when it kicks in, instead of running to the cupboard, stop and think, basically. Be ready and have some healthy swaps handy because we may need them. Move your body. Go back often to your intention and visualization. Imagine yourself free from all addiction. How does it feel to be in control? I must say that was the biggest one for me. Like, I don't want to feel addicted. I don't want to feel my mood and my emotion to be reliant on something like food to feel happy and to feel certain emotion. I feel like I just don't want it. It's the same with coffee. I love coffee, but I give myself break from time to time, making sure that I'm not addicted and I can live without it. I want to feel free. I have like a freebie which is called food freedom, because I've noticed that we are so addicted to think about our emotional state being in terms of eating, not eating, eating sweet, not eating sweet, and it becomes such a massive thing. Whereas food is food, nothing else. It doesn't mean you behave in a certain way and you are a certain person. Food is food, and that's it. Social events. This can be a real challenge because we can say that once in a while we should have fun. But when you suffer from a chronic illness or are at risk, it's not fun anymore because you know you're going to suffer. You're not going to feel great. Yes. So we train our resilience and our boundaries, standing up to our own values. So when I became a very strict vegan, I had so many different conversations on this topic, and I wanted to stand up to my values. Right, I want to choose that. Right, I want to choose that for myself, and that's it. Right, and I was training my resilience because I ate meat all my life. I never knew anyone vegetarian, not mentioning vegan. And I always was thinking, like, what people eat. Now we have so many choices that it's not even a question. All restaurants serve very good options. Veggie, plant-based meals that could be less in saturated fat, with the exception of cheese, than most of the other options. For dessert, you can skip or have some fruit. Again, you're not missing out. This is your choice. And this is such an important change in the mindset. I've already eaten all my sweets in the life, and I want to be free from that addiction, and I'm not going to have anything. and I'm not missing out. I'm feeling great. My benefit is having the energy and really feeling good. Be mindful of drinks and cocktails as they contain plenty of sugar. Have plenty of water, for example, with a slice of lemon. And be mindful of portion sizes, like depending where you go, but the portion sizes can be really, really big. You don't have to eat everything. You can always ask for a bag to take home, which I sometimes do. You can replace fries with side salad instead of chips or fries. I mean, there are so many different ways to avoid that insulin spike and sugar spike after meal. Okay, setting intention. I love this bit. So this is a good thing to do after each session. So I've shown you a few healthy swaps in terms of the fruits and what you can have from the list. So if you don't have already, have not done something, so say like, okay, so I'm using, so this is the healthy swaps, right? Can I choose 3 or 4 of them and have them ready in my cupboard? When the craving kicks in, when I'm hungry, but it's not time for dinner or whatever, can I have any of those rather than a sugary treat? So intention, an intention could be, I'm going to have this, this, and this. That's my intention. I'm also want to work on my cravings, right? I want to change my mindset. The other intention could be, I want to feel happy and free when, for example, going out, right? And I want to stood up to my values. I mean, this is a beautiful example of the table. I think there is a chicken a little bit, but there is not a lot of carbs. There are some pears, which are fantastic, some fruits and loads of salad. And you know, it's just brilliant. It looks so beautifully, everything like that. And I just love it. I love this setting. And you know, make food fun, make food inspiring, and then you won't have to go into sugary things. Okay, so the last bit important, as I said, my reverse diabetes naturally course is here. You can sign up, but also I have some available one-on-one coaching for $45 per session, but I want 4 minimum sessions. Therefore, because I want to create the result with you, and I don't want to it's so important for me to work with you at least for 4 sessions, so that you are, it depends where you are, you may need less, more, but yes, usually 4 is a like optimum thing, that to make sure that we create the result together, and that you have accountability and you also ask me questions. So this is until the end of the year. It's going to go from January. So if you want to use this opportunity, I would love to have you on board and have a discussion with you about this, and we change this together, right? You don't have to have that. Also, we can work on the optimum carb meal plan and learn a few healthy swaps even more, how you can implement that, and first of all, be accountable, because that is an important part. All right, so that's for today. Don't have any comments, but I would love to hear from you what kind of intentions you are setting for yourself. Even if it's 1, even if it's 2, put them in the comments and let me know how you want to show up for yourself, what you are taking in from this lesson, from this day, to change your relationship with sugar through the practical ways. Yeah, so what would be the swap, how I can look at the optimum carbs for me. I don't regard carbs like totally evil. I can choose well in terms of the portion sizes and quality of the carbs, and we're going to learn about that tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to see you at 9:30 a.m. UK time. So whoever is from United States, you probably won't be here, but that's okay. You can always watch on replay, and give me a shout. Let me know. I would love to help you. Take care and all the best.